Rory?
I think it's a disaster because I think it is indicative of what's going on at the club. You know, for some clubs, they're rebuilding, there's room for optimism, you can see what they're trying to do. It's very different. Chelsea getting battered by Celtic, though, firstly, it shouldn't happen. Even when you look at the 11s that were out there, it really shouldn't happen. And secondly, this is systematic of what's been going on at Chelsea for a long time. This isn't isolated. This is what's been happening since the second that Clearlake took over at Stamford Bridge. Clearlake took over 2 years ago. They took over a team that were officially, this isn't my opinion, it's fact, they were officially the best team in the world at the time. Chelsea were the Club World Champions. We'd won the European Cup in Portugal. Yep. We'd then become the Club World Champions in the UAE. Since then, it has just been a disaster, Shaban. I don't think it's just a squad in disarray. I think it's a club in disarray. I think it's a club that's losing its identity, and I think it's a club that's being run by people who don't care about the club. Well, I was, because I read their manifesto and they said things that were totally in tune with the way that I saw the game.
But he had never run
he'd never worked in European sport. No, he never worked in European sport. He made himself sporting director. The clues were there once they bought the club. But the relationship between the fans and the club has never been greater. As the chasm between the fans and the club has never been greater, because of the way that they've been conducting themselves. Like, tiny things. Like, they've scrapped subsidised away travel. They've raised season ticket prices to above inflation level. They created a £5,000 ticket. Genuinely, one ticket. You sit behind the manager. They call it the dugout club. It used to be our family enclosure. When Chelsea played Milan in '99, I sat there. I got a ticket, £5. £5. Well, I was a kid. I've got a £5 ticket. I've got it up on my wall. It's now £5,000 to sit there. It's a disaster. And if you think about who's calling the shots here, we've got this Win Stanley bloke who I vaguely knew from Brighton. And do you know, I looked him up. Do you want to know something that will trouble you? So let's use Trevor Chalobah as an example here, right? Trevor Chalobah, Thomas Tuchel rated him. Mauricio Pochettino rated him. They both rate him, and I'm sure that everybody will concede that those two know what makes a decent footballer, Pochettino and Tuchel. Do you know who's happy to sell him? This Win Stanley bloke. So I thought, let's find out what Win Stanley's all about. So you've got Tuchel and you've got Tuchel and Pochettino with their illustrious career, and then you've got Win Stanley, who studied for 3 years for a football and science degree at Liverpool Polytechnic. And they've decided that Trevor Chalobah's not good enough, and that's who's calling the shots at Chelsea. So Pochettino, no, don't worry about him. He only won a league in France, got to a Champions League final. Don't worry about him. Thomas Tuchel, serial European Cup success. Don't worry about him. This geezer who did a Polytechnic degree at Liverpool, yeah, he's the man. Listen to him. It's a shambles.